the technique then, people learn this in spiritual meditative techniques. What do you do when you meditate? What you do when you meditate is each thought as it arises, you surrender it to God. Each thought, each feeling, each sensation, you let go wanting to change anything. Now, if everything is absolutely perfect, as the teachers say, so I'm a teacher at this moment, I tell you everything is perfect. Mm-hmm. Nothing has to change. You don't have to do anything. You are already perfect. Mm-hmm. All right, if that is true, then there is no point to make anything different than what it is. So the next move one would make, if one has humility and listens to the teacher, is to say, consequently, my mind doesn't have to do anything. It doesn't have to think anything. So what happens is the mind begins to surrender itself as it unfolds. So let's say you sit down and go start to meditate and say, I want to experience the infinite presence. Simple. It's a very simple thing to do. All you have to do is absolutely and fixedly focus like a razor, like a laser beam, on each thought as it arises. All right, as you surrender each thought and feeling and impulse as it arises to God, at first you surrender whole stories. I think I told you people think they have problems. Mm-hmm. They have problems because they read a story in their head. Right. Did we talk about that?
Yeah, we did.
We did. Yeah. All right. So we explained also that nobody has a problem. That as long as you live in this instant, right. In this instant, nobody has a problem in this whole universe. Nobody has a problem this instant. All right. So what happens is, as you let go of the stories, as you see how the mind creates stories, you begin living in the stop frame of this moment. Mm-hmm. And you will see that the mind likes to create thoughts. So first you surrender stories, then you surrender paragraphs, then you surrender sentences. You don't allow the sentence to even complete itself. If it's worthless, then why complete the sentence? If your thoughts don't have any intrinsic value, if they're just belong to the world and not even yours to begin with, you know, they're creations of the ego and the energy fields of the ego, then there's no point to perfect it. Mm-hmm. All right, so at first one surrenders, one stops creating stories, then one stops creating paragraphs, one stops creating sentences, one stops creating phrases, and you will see that languaging in the form of thought is coming from an energy. There's like an energy in the mind that is constantly creating like a stream thought. So you watch thoughts going through consciousness like goldfish through a bowl. See? The thoughts are like goldfish. But what you are is the water. You're not the goldfish. So the unenlightened person thinks, I am the goldfish. I am my thoughts. I am this worry. I am this fear. I am this regret. You begin to identify where is consciousness. Consciousness is what is witnessing these thoughts. So thoughts are flowing through consciousness, and consciousness itself is invisible and has no form. So you begin to identify with the observer instead of that which is observed. Now, anybody who does meditation knows what I'm saying already. But this energy behind thought is itself formless. Mm-hmm. It does not have... it's like this energy wants to come up, and then it begins to express itself as a thought. And at that point, you let go wanting to have the thought. So you're constantly surrendering your thinkingness. Now, you'll notice that what the mind does is it tries to anticipate the next split second. What your mind is doing right now, Ewan, is anticipating the next second. I can hear your mind clanking away, and it's trying to anticipate the next moment. Mm-hmm. All right. It thinks it has to. It thinks it has to, in order to survive, it has to master So if you watch what your mind is really doing, you'll see it's always trying to get one up on the next instant.
Right.
All right, by next instant, I'm talking about maybe a tenth of a second. So what a person is experiencing, they're never experiencing reality. What they're experiencing is the ego's interpretation of reality. So like an audio system, there's what's called a monitor. So just as you tape something, just as you tape a program on the tape, the monitor feeds into your ears. You heard what was just recorded a split second ago, but you're not hearing the program source. You're hearing what was just recorded. This is what the average person is experiencing, is the monitor tape of the ego's interpretation of events. They're not experiencing events as they are in reality. They're experiencing the ego's interpretation. So as this thinkingness begins to recede, there's no longer a desire to think. There's no longer a desire to think. You see that thinkingness itself is a vanity. That it's like a violation of the true nature of God. It's like I negate God's godness, therefore I have to think myself. In other words, God's not going to reveal to me what I need to know. I got to go out there and one up on God. So what the ego is really doing is supplanting God. Mm-hmm. You begin to see what the ego is up to is to supplant God, replace God. I don't want truth revealed to me. Oh no, I'll make up my own truth. There's a lack of trust of God, and so this mind is always anticipating. Eventually, the mind, as you watch it, it's like you get earlier and earlier into the formation of thought itself. As I say, first sentences, stories go, paragraphs go, sentences go, concepts go, words go. The word begins to come up like dog. Just as the D and the O start to come up, you see it's going to become dog. You catch it already before it even becomes dog. And let go the desire to create a thought.